our mission. So we're here to empower people to live longer, fuller lives, no matter their age. And working with our clients, a lot of times we're looking at what's the biggest obstacle for actually getting success, living their longest, fullest life. And information is everywhere. It's easy. Google everything. You know, you can download a workout. You know exactly what to do. But when it comes, rubber hits the road. Motivation is people's biggest obstacle a lot of the time. So we're here today to bring together a bunch of people in a range of fields to kind of help you guys get through understanding your own motivation and get past the sort of buzzword, you know, hashtag motivation, picture quote, just feel good and actually get tangible tools that you can have for sustained success. So I'll give an intro to each of the panelists, and then we'll get into some questions. And often you might hear about somebody, you know, killing it, doing great, and then when you actually dig into what they're doing, some of it tends to be fluff. You know, it's not actually what it seems to be. And every single person here, as I got into more of their backstory, just got more and more inspired, which is pretty incredible. So starting with Dan right here, obviously Mr. Eat Frickin' Ice Cream. But his backstory, kind of great athlete growing up, built Power Bar from a local company to a national power, no pun intended. Sub 5-minute mile runner, 5 New York City marathons, founds his ice cream company, cancer diagnosis, and 12 weeks
to the ice cream.
12 weeks to live,
Yeah.
right? And then founds his ice cream, life is short, eat frickin' ice cream, and then has since grown that from 20 stores to 5,000 stores. Absolute inspiration. Kelly Brabants, notorious for leggings, has always defied expectations and pushed ahead. Moved from New York to LA as a teenager, pursuing dance, and became a personal trainer in Boston, and has since founded BootyByBrabants workouts and their leggings, grown from hand delivering orders to people in a small apartment to tens of thousands of customers all around the globe, which is extremely impressive. Really excited to learn some stuff from you. And then Gordie Gronkowski, former baseball player with the Los Angeles Angels organization, family business in sports equipment, grew to managing 14 stores with G&G Fitness, and now is on the commercial side with Gronk Fitness products, bringing top-of-the-line fitness equipment to schools, gyms, offices, homes, apartment buildings, anybody that wants to get it done. And then Karen Morales, absolute champion of life, former Fortune 500 agency executive, now successful entrepreneur, marketing expert, and motivational speaker, sharing her story of success and perseverance through health and business. And then last but not least, Steve Zivich, MD, never satisfied. Steve is a medical doctor, entrepreneur, and bodybuilder who's now on a mission to redefine medical care by focusing on the doctor-client relationship and emphasizing sustainable preventative health and wellness strategies for his patients. So now we'll get into the first question. As I touched on before, motivation, kind of this buzzword, amorphous. People don't even know it's like hashtag motivation Monday. It's some picture, oh, I'm going to get fired up and go do something for, you know, an hour or even a month, and then a month later somebody's burnt out. So I want to hear from each of you kind of what motivation means to you and how you've kind of a story of how you've tapped into motivation through your own life and success and struggles. So we'll start with you.
Start with me. First of all, you do a great job of putting together a panel, and I've met you once before, you're all so supportive of each other, so it's great to see you here. I don't know if I actually need this, but I will. You know, I think I read your questions, I think when it comes to motivation as a whole, I was processing your question while I was driving around rainy Boston today. And first of all, if you're here in this weather, you're motivated. But I think that, I really think it's innate. I just think you're born with it in a lot of ways. You either are motivated or not motivated. And I think a lot of times in life, it sometimes is what you're not. So like I live in a kind of I don't want to say a luxury building, but I live in a nice apartment building here in Boston. The guys who are at the front desk, you will find that there's people who walk in 2 hands full of groceries and they stay there and they'll be typing on their computer. And I'm like, somebody's like, are you motivated to get up and open the door for somebody? And maybe it's not part of your job description, but what motivates you? Sometimes it's things that are, you know, I'm just like, why is that person not motivated in their job? As far as, you know, how motivation is designed, I do think it's something that's just the way you're wired in a lot of ways. I was mentioning before starting ViceCream, I was a director of marketing at Puma, and and you heard I worked at Power Bar. I was the last guy to leave the office every night, but it wasn't always a good thing. You ask about that also. Like, I left at like 2 or 3 in the morning, like I owned the company. Like, I had managers come to me saying, like, you need to leave. You need to go home. And there was like, I'd come out, there was snow on my car in Westwood or whatever it was, or wherever it was, wherever it was. There was snow all over the car. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? And I didn't really have an answer for it. It's just the way I was wired. And I think partly it's athletics. You may find that everybody here on the panel may or may not have some tie to athletics. As an intense athlete, that may carry over to business. So that's a little bit of an introduction.
That's really good. Motivation for me, to be honest, is, if I'm going to break it down for myself, is kind of where I want to be in the future. I always set goals for myself, and I keep myself really accountable on those goals. And at the end of the day, like, I'm not doing it for anyone else besides myself. So I think it's really important to set attainable goals and then continue, let that be your motivation to get there. And then when you get to that point, enjoy it and kind of look back and say, some days you get like, you have a slump and you just kind of wake up with no motivation. You're like, what am I doing? I have no desire to go to the gym, or for me, teach a BBB class. But then I look back at all of my achievements and the things that I have done, and I'm like, well, I can do it. So I just set another goal, and it's just about keeping a positive mindset, setting goals for yourself, and not doing it for anyone else besides yourself. I think it's really important to make yourself proud and work hard towards something that you want. So I think that's mine. I have a few others, but I talk too much.
Thanks, Kyle. Gordie, Gronkowski, if you didn't get my name earlier. I am the oldest. Thank you for calling me the youngest earlier. That's motivation right there. But motivation to me is like inspiration. For instance, I have 4 younger brothers. When I was in high school, my brother Dan was actually like 2 inches taller than me. He was like the ladies' man of my senior class as a sophomore. And he inspired me to be better, and kind of that's where I am today, is because of my younger brothers, which is really cool. They started on all my like varsity teams, but they were working out and eating healthy and eating clean to get to the next level to, make themselves better. And I was like kind of lost at that point. So it was kind of cool that they helped push me to get me where I am today. I probably wouldn't have played Division I baseball without them. So it was I kind of look back at that and say, once I did get there, like what motivated me from there was everyone who told me I couldn't get there. So every person in Buffalo like doubts you from where I'm from. So I use that as inspiration and motivation to get to the next level. And then I kept doing that. Now motivation to me is helping kids, which is cool. Our foundation, the Gronk Nation Youth Foundation, is all based about giving back to kids. And that's what I want to do. Like with some of the new stuff we're doing now, we just purchased a protein cookie company. So like our goal, like with the stuff we're doing now, is more or less to be able to create a foundation around what we're doing for kids, and then give back to them on a lot of the proceeds that we make. So that's like what's inspiring to me. Like we don't have to do some of these things. I just think some of the projects we are doing are just so much fun. Like who buys a protein cookie company and eats chocolate chip cookies and promotes it as health and fitness to go with the Gronk fitness and everything else we're doing, like Ice Shaker. So like that's like what's fun to me. I want to be able to bring to inspire people, to motivate people. I want to bring people on our team that we can give part of the company to, and within 5 years make them millionaires. Like that's what fires me up, is to have great people and a great community around us, and to be able to give back in that way, which is a lot of fun. So that's why we have so many cool products. Like you've probably seen us on Shark Tank, some of the other shows we've done, because we have so much fun doing it. So that's kind of what inspires and motivates me.
Hey, I'm Karen. Before I started my own marketing company, I worked in Fortune 500 ad agencies for 20 years. So I know a lot about what motivates people to buy. And the thing about motivating people to buy is people will spend money to avoid pain much more than they'll ever buy pleasure. So if you're going to sell something, you're much more likely to have a great result if you say, this will help you not be afraid to be in a bathing suit this summer, versus this will get you in great shape. So what I have learned in my own life for motivation, and I have a similar story to you in getting one of those medical diagnoses early in my life where somebody told me I would be in a wheelchair in 10 years, which I promptly said, fuck you, is that for me, the most motivating has always been, I'm always sure what I'm not. So even in the moments when I don't know what my next reach goal is going to be, I can always dig my heels in, and I think most humans can, to figure out what you're not here for. So I think in some of those moments where you're stuck and you don't know what to do next, the best place to start is to focus on what you're not going to take anymore. Maybe that's a dead-end job. Maybe that's a loveless relationship. Maybe that's a health diagnosis that you're not cool with getting. Maybe it's poverty. Maybe it's your mother. But it could be any of those things. But that, to me, is always the most motivating. So if you don't know where to go next, start with what you don't want to accept anymore. And from there, you can find that first step.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm a primary care doctor, and I have a really awesome opportunity working with patients on when they do have a health diagnosis or a chronic condition, kind of getting to learn what their goals are and what motivates them. And it's kind of tying into my personal life, knowing whatever your goals are, knowing why that goal is important. And always writing it down, being aware of the why. When you come up to hurdles, there's going to be hard days, there's going to be shitty days. But if you always know the why that goal is important, it's a good way to keep motivated, and it's essentially that. Cool.
Are we passing it down? We're, okay.
There you go, Will. Yeah,
Throw a quick spiral. So Karen, you were talking about thinking about what you're not, and Gordie, you're talking about getting motivated from people that are doubting you. And there's this whole kind of people thinking about motivation, watching inspirational videos and positivity and positive vibes only, but there's this whole side of, how do you embrace getting a negative health diagnosis and using that as a positive force, or saying like, hey, there's people doubting me, I'm actually going to turn this into a force for good. And there's this whole kind of negative side, or you mentioned almost going too far. How do you kind of think about the sort of dark side, or some of the negative aspects of getting motivated from negativity, or taking motivation too far into where it could be a little bit of a problem?
Sure. Well, two pieces. So first of all, as far as motivation from negativity, when we launched here in Boston 3 years ago, just under 3 years ago, 30 months ago, and 20 Roach Brothers stores. And now we have 5,000 stores across 33 states. Not stores, we're in grocery stores. But one of the most difficult things for many entrepreneurs is raising capital. And everybody says it's a full-time job. It's a horrible job, absolutely horrible job. But as founder and CEO, a lot of it falls to me. And we started something the first year that was called the DNB list, the Do Not Believe. And the DNB list was on the wall for people that wrote us, investors that were like, this ice cream really sucks, it's awful, I don't want to invest in it. We just put them all on the wall. I actually wanted to do a real I wanted to do a real ceremony and actually invite them in. I said, someday when we have an office like the Red Sox, we're going to put like their names in the brick, but just so people can step on their names on the way into the office. So we were like, I almost said the Boston investor's name. I just want to step on whatever his name is. I won't tell you. I know who it is. I just want to step on his name every day on the way in the office. So the DMB list was like just people who I'm making sure it all makes sense now. Do not believe. And the do not believe list, we literally printed out emails and wrote people's names up on the glass wall who didn't believe. So that was motivation. We've talked a little bit about this. The flip side is that I think right now, and I've very topical to me, I held something recently called Entrepreneurs Therapy, and I think that there's an article that just came out that I circulated that talked about like the Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, hard on people management style has now gone away, and especially with our investors and board, like you have to be more in touch than ever with entrepreneurs because it's hard. and it's really hard. And this idea of like, are you doing okay? Do you need a break? Softer things? Do you need some kind of support? That's not the way it's been. And I just think maybe because of social media, maybe because you're always on, it's a roller coaster, and it is difficult. I think everyone loves being on Shark Tank. I was supposed to be on season 9. Everyone loves being on Shark Tank. You like being on the front of Forbes. That all sounds glamorous, but it's a hard job. It can really take a toll on you. Before I started ViceCream, I had a lot of hair. So it's hard.
I guess I'll play off of that a little bit because my story is I went to school in New York, and then I moved out to Los Angeles to continue my dance career and do acting, dancing, and I was auditioning a lot in the commercial industry world. And I would go to these auditions. I was 19 years old. I didn't know anyone in California. I was living with one of my friends who I had met dancing on Broadway when I was 17, 18, and she was from LA. So I slept on her couch for 3 months because my parents were not cool with me moving to California. But I was like, you know what, I need to do this. It's my passion. I've always been so passionate about dance. So I moved out there and I was auditioning, and I would do 6 to 7 hour auditions, and at the end I would make it to the very end, and then the choreographer would whisper in my ear like, unfortunately your body type isn't right for what we're looking for. You're a little bigger than what we're looking for. And I was like 120 pounds. Like I was just a little thicker. I have a Brazilian butt, I'm I'm curvy. And at the time, like 8 years ago, curvy wasn't really in. And I'm not gonna lie, this is why I am the person I am, and the reason why I spread the messages I do today about like just embracing your body and just embracing who you are. Back then, I lost all my confidence. They really destroyed me. Like these people were really affecting me. And it was one of those things where I was always insecure about my body, even though I knew that I was healthy, and I never crash dieted. I never did anything like that. It just was like a mental thing where I never wanted to try on jeans because I was scared of what jean size I would be. And I became all about sizing and the number on the scale. And kind of going back to now, my company, BootyByBrabants, all my leggings are one size. I have 132 SKUs, and they're all one size. And I created this brand that's an inclusive thing because I'm so passionate about women just feeling comfortable in their own skin, but in their own clothes, and being able to go to the gym and put on a pair of leggings and instantly just feel more motivated in those pair of pants. And so my brand has a lot to do with what I went through back in the day in this dance world where maybe I didn't fit the costume now, but now the Patriots cheerleaders are all wearing my leggings on the field as their uniform, and it's one size, and they don't have to worry about being a certain size, and I have up to 4XL, women up to 4XL wearing them, as well as the 00. So that's my motivation, and I think that you have to go through things, like you said. People kind of just say I just want to be an entrepreneur. People ask me all the time, oh, can I just grab coffee with you? I want to learn how to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, I don't want to be rude, but I'm like, you're born an entrepreneur, and I don't even call myself an entrepreneur. I hate that word. I've just always been my own. I've always had a mindset of wanting to be my own boss, and entrepreneur is what my label is, I guess, but it's not what defines me. And I don't think that people should try to practice to be an entrepreneur. I think you need to have a great idea, a lot of motivation. You need to be relentless and not let those people who say no and don't believe in you get in the way. I think that's what we do. We just doubt ourselves and then let one no take us. And that happened to me when I was 18 and 19. I lost my confidence, and I had to slowly bring it back by staying motivated and believing in myself. But I think it's all about just staying strong and not letting the no's get in your way. You just have to keep going and screw the rest,
Just like that, all of our pints of ice cream one size. Charles, what size you are?
Yeah, same with our Gronk fitness shirts are all one size now. Our water bottles. One size fits all. Perfect. We're in. I talked a little bit about it earlier, what inspired me, what motivated me to kind of where I am today. But as far as fitness goes, we own 14 fitness retail stores. We design fitness centers for the home and for the commercial setting from beginning to completion, including your flooring. We help, when people come in the store, we help them figure out what products best fit them and fits their house or fits their commercial setting to help them reach their goals. So when they come in, a lot of people don't know what they're doing, whether it's weight loss, whether it's to gain strength, whether it's run the Boston Marathon, whether it's an injury. We have expert sales reps. We have over 100 employees that work for Gronk Fitness and G&G Fitness that help you reach your fitness needs. So it's really cool because a lot of people come in, they're not motivated. They don't want to work out. They don't want something for the home, but they know they need it. Or they need to come back from some type of injury and they don't know what to do, or they need the help to get there. And that's where our salespeople come into play. We only hire professional people that want to help other people out, which is really cool. So they help really motivate them. Once the process, the way it works, once someone comes in our store, we get, describe to us your goals, explain to us what you're trying to achieve, who's going to be using the equipment, how they're going to be using it. And once we figure all that out, we try to match the customer with the correct products that are going to fit in the space they have. Once we do that, we go in, we set up the equipment with our delivery crew, and then we service it. But the biggest thing is the follow-up, and it's making sure that they're reaching their goals. And that's what makes us so successful is we stay on them. Every couple months we call them, how you doing? You told us your goal was to, run the marathon. How's it going? And we help people and keep them motivated to stay on that path to help them reach their goals. So we're going on 30 years of business now. Our father started it, which is insane. Actually the year Rob was born. So it's kind of cool that he's turning 30 and we're going on our 30th for our family fitness company. But that's kind of a rundown what we do. And then commercial settings, kind of the same thing. Like people give us a room plan. We'll design it like this could be just a basement. I'll come down here and measure it out, or our team will. And then we'll design it based on the goals of the gym and the goals of the facility. So it's a lot of fun, but that's what kind of helps us motivate people. But we stay on them is the biggest win. A lot of companies, you just come in, you buy something online, you never hear from them again. You buy a low-end piece of equipment, you never hear from them again. That's what makes us so special, and that's why we've been open for so long. So that's kind of like, the way we do it as far as continuing to motivate people, inspire them, and stay on them. And the best is when they come back and they reach their goal.
So I think the secret to not falling off the motivation bandwidth is what all of the big brands and all of the most famous people in their sport or in their industry have done, whether it's Lady Gaga, Tom Brady, your brother, you, these people on this panel, Apple, Whole Foods, Walt Disney. They got told no 1,000 times. They stepped on names of VCs that said your idea sucks, and they kept going. So I think the difference in people that don't lose the motivation or go to the dark side, as Will said, are the ones that are relentlessly, which is what you said, focused on that goal. And nothing is going to take them from that end state. So for businesses, that means you don't have shiny object syndrome. You have a singular focus. You know what your business is trying to achieve, and you're not trying to launch the new product before the first one is actually profitable. I know when I have entrepreneurs come to me and they're stuck in their business and they don't know what to do next, and they'll come to me. I had this happen recently. A woman said to me, I just have to build an email program. And I'm like, you don't look very excited about that email program. And she's like, I'm not. And I'm like, okay, well, why do you want the email program? She's like, because I want to get more clients. And I said, well, is the email program the only way to do that? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about marketing. And I said, is that true? Because if I said your kid couldn't read, what would you do? She had a lot of suggestions. She'd talk to the teacher. She'd get a tutor. She'd teach him himself. She'd pull him out. She'd homeschool him. She would get, literacy testing. And I'm like, right. You need to keep your goals for your business or your life with the same force of a crazy mother whose kid isn't literate. And if you can do that, you can do anything. So I think the number one thing that you need to do if you're stuck or if you're worried about the dark side is to remember that everybody successful before you got a lot of pushback, had a lot of no's. And the reason that they are where they are is because that didn't dissuade them. They kept going through the storm. They didn't stop in the midst of the trauma. Because when you can get through the hard times, that's where the beauty usually grows, on the other side of the challenge, at least in my experience.
Similar experiences with starting a private practice. Nowadays with primary care, if you're not with a big hospital working with a group, you're told you're stupid, you're not going to get paid, you're not going to be able to Keep the doors open. They don't really teach you being an entrepreneur or business or anything in medical school, so it's more trial by fire, which I think everyone has had their experiences are more trial by fire. And it's just that perseverance. If one door closes, there may not be a window open, so you find a brick and you make it open, and you just keep working and working until you're there.
I gotta use the force better, right? But so a lot of you guys touched on tapping into what really matters to you, not getting distracted by shiny object syndrome or going to the dark side, or coming back to what really matters to you. How do people? A lot of people aren't in that situation. Pretty much everybody up here is doing something they love. They're really passionate about it. They know that it's their calling, what they're really supposed to do. How do you know, or how do people know when it is what they're actually most passionate about, or have you helped people through that to figure that out? Basically, how do you know when you know?
How do you know when you know? How do you know when you know the question?
What you're
Like when you
calling,
found?
what you're calling.
Oh
what
man,
you really
I mean, that's a question a lot of people ask themselves. Steve, is it Steve? Steve talked about why, find your why. Simon Sinek and people talk about, what your why is. I think it's really hard. I think the minority of people, 0.0001%, find their why and why they should be doing it. I think it's really difficult. And I do think that sometimes you have to reevaluate that why over different parts of your life. Sorry, I think every time I see I say this, but I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's the rain today, but I was reading an article today about, what's his name, David Brooks, who writes for the New York Times, has a book coming out called The Second Mountain, or just did. And the first mountain is all about you, it's about you, about success, about following the regular path. And then there's a challenge that comes up. It could be cancer, and what your second mountain looks like and working through that adversity. And a lot of times that second mountain, he said the first one's about being happy. The second one's about being joy, which generally impacts other people. The first mountain was about you and about your success, and the second one is impacting other people. So, and it could be just somebody who leaves a Wall Street job to work at a YMCA. So it's, I don't know. I mean, the why I think is really hard. I sit with in a Vistage group here with 12 CEOs from Boston, and there's people there that are wondering, they have 1,400 employees, and they're trying to figure out their why. They think that they've made it. So I do think it's really difficult. For me, everything goes back to the consumer always. That's probably the only thing I would add. So when we get emails that come in that say, we just named you best ice cream in America, that's great. But the ones that come back and say, we had this guy write into us that took a picture of his medical bills next to a pint of ViceCream. And he said, that he's like $99 copay for chemotherapy, $300 for medication, and then he said $5.99 a pint at Wegmans, and he's like, this makes everything else worth it. And he's like, I know your story, and I read it all the time, and what I'm going through, you give me inspiration. And I I read it at 10 or 11 o'clock at night in the office, and sort of there were a couple people there, and brought the people together. I was like, this is why we have to stop and really remind ourselves what we're doing. And you mentioned stop before. I don't think entrepreneurs are good at stopping. I don't think we ever stop ourselves. I think letters like this and consumers stop us to have some perspective. People may do it better than I do. I should have more perspective, considering I'm not supposed to be here right now. Not that I'm supposed to be home. I'm supposed to be dead. But yeah, I mean, people get confused. My team gets confused. Like, wait a second, shouldn't this guy? I got a question on like the regional Today Show. They're like, why don't you go to Cayman and like be a bartender? Like with what you went through, why are you doing this to yourself? But I feel like if you get a second chance to live, use it. And I'm pretty intense about this. I'm sure also like everybody on the panel, where my team can be confused. They're like, wait a second, you were given 12 weeks to live, but like you're firing people at work. I'm like, yeah, because we have something to do with that opportunity. You got to make the most of it. I'm not going to sit here. I didn't live to sit here to watch somebody mail it in every day. It may sound harsh, but it goes back a little bit to what the purpose is. So we have an opportunity to impact thousands of cancer patients across the country. We call it chemotherapy, and by bringing smiles to them. So that's the mission.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. No, you really are.
I'm trying to make sure I don't call you delicious.
Oh God, it's happened before.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know my name's Kelly. They just call me Booty. Like literally
Yeah,
on the
I
street,
know.
they're like Booty, and I'm like, hey. Yeah. My last name's kind of hard to pronounce. So finding your why, like, I think it's really, really hard. But I do encourage people people are always asking me. Just younger professionals are asking me, like, how did you get into what you do? And this is why I can relate to them so well, because there was a time where I was a personal trainer at Equinox, and I knew that I didn't want to just be a one-on-one personal trainer for the rest of my life. I wanted to do something that was scalable and something that I could really reach a bigger market and not just stay in one place. So I knew that that's what I wanted, but I didn't understand how I was going to get there. But I always knew my why. Like even when I was a kid, I always knew that, one, I wanted to perform. I wanted to be in front of people, and I wanted, through movement or through fitness, I wanted to move people. Like I loved, through my dance shows, I was able to like move people and bring them like happiness through my dancing and through personal training, and I was able to really impact people's lives. So that was always my why. And then now, keep the why alive, like you said, getting amazing like emails. I could be in a magazine, or I could be on a TV or do a huge class, and all those things are great. But it's like this morning when I get a DM, I got it this morning. I was going to read it, but I'm not going to read it. A really, really nice message from this girl saying how her friend didn't want to try on her leggings because she was like, they're definitely not going to fit. And then when they don't fit, I'm going to be discouraged. And when she put them on, her face lit up and she goes, I'm wearing the same pants as you. And the girl is half her size. And it gave her this just really, and she sent me the sweetest message. It literally like, it was this morning, and she was like, I know you need it, and it's funny that I'm here today, because she wrote at the end of the message, she goes, you're impacting so many people's lives, and you deserve a little Monday motivation, with a heart. And I go, is this God right now? Like, what's happening? This is too weird. And it was so sweet, so I screenshotted it. But it's those moments where I'm like, okay, I'm doing something right. It's those moments when you're affecting, and people are actually reaching out to you and being positively affected by whatever you're doing. That's my why. And I just want to continue to be able to keep that ignited, and through personal connections like that, I think it's so important to stay motivated. Like as a personal trainer, and you will, like the best feeling in the world is probably when your clients send you a message or say, wow, I fit into those jeans that I've been wanting to fit into for a year. No one really cares probably, but you and her care, or you and him. Like it's a special thing that you have, and it makes your job 10 times better. And I think having those little messages are just so important. And if you love what you do, they mean a lot. Then so.
Nice job, Kelly. Everyone's crushing it right now. Thank you.
Gonna call me Booty. My necklace says Booty.
Bootylicious. That's your new nickname. No, it's probably already a nickname.
I have a lot of Booty.
Right. So, it's tough because like you don't even know like where to start sometimes, or how it starts, or how to get there once you do think of something you want to do. But for myself, I love connecting people through people, and I know Kelly, you said that too. And if I can connect someone and I see that it helped them out, like that inspires me. So like it's kind of cool that how many people I see, that I can affect in people's lives, I can change because of who I know or how I can get them to where they want to be, which is really cool. So if I can do that, that's like, kind of like why I like doing it. Now, to get to the next part, like how someone wants to get there, that's the challenge. So the way we look at it is we set a 10-year goal. And what do you want in 10 years? And then we scale that down to 5 years, and then we'll break it down to 3, and then a year, and then every 3 months, and then weekly goals to hit that rock in 3 months. Because if any goal's going over 3 months, and you haven't achieved it, people are getting bored, they're anxious, they want to do something different. So you got to make sure you can scale week to week, month to month, every 3 months, a year, to 5 to 10 to reach that goal. So the way so you're asking like why? So if we get an idea for whatever reason, we just decided we're going to buy the protein cookie company, but why are we doing it? You know, and then where do we want to be, first of all, in 10 years if we're going to purchase that company? So here's our goal in 10 years, and then here's our 5-year, and then this is what we're going to do, and this is how we want to take care of our employees. Same with Ice Shaker. I know my brother Chris, and by the way, Good Morning America, Earth Day, he was one of the top products today for being green. So by Tori Johnson, which a little insert for my brother Chris on Ice Shaker. But same thing, like he was like, dude, what can I do? Like, why start a water bottle company? I mean, you got Yeti, you have, you know, all these other bottles out there. He's like, I want to make the best bottle. We want to make the best bottle out there. How am I gonna do that though, or how are we gonna do it? So it's like, why do you start a water bottle company, and then how do you achieve your goal? So you got to be able to set goals ahead of time to be able to stay on track to reach those goals. Anyone can kind of start some, but it's like, how do you get there? And so that's the way we look at it, to scale that way, to help us achieve what we want to achieve. So I guess, you know, if you're asking why or how to get there, that just gives us at least some guidelines on where we want to be, and gives you kind of a baseline on how to get there.
I think that's totally true. I mean, the setting of big goals and very measurable goals, especially for big businesses, I've seen in my experience as the #1 key to success. So the fact that you're doing that, it's kind of the OKR method is what they call it in Silicon Valley, works really well. But I think the other thing that you mentioned, Mr. Ice Cream, that I think is a good one is the mountains in your life. I know, like you, and I can't call you Bootylicious, but I guess I just did. Kelly, I grew up too having really big dreams. I wanted to be a pediatrician at one point, and I wanted to see change in the world, and I was always that person growing up that everybody would come to with their problems. And then I got older, and I got married, and I had kids, and I kind of like lost that edge. I lost that hustle. I just kind of did the motions. I got a job at a big company. I rose up the ranks. I had a team, and I hated it. And it wasn't until my life literally imploded. So 2.5 years ago, I was sitting in a conference room in Newark, New Jersey with Tony Robbins and 10,000 other screaming rabid fans that I went on a wink and a prayer because I was separated, really struggling with my health. It was really flaring. My son was illiterate. My kids were falling apart. I was totally broke, $100,000 in debt, and I had just lost my job. I was like literally fucked. Like I did not know what my next move was going to be. And in that conference room, we did an exercise on, well, what aren't you? And it was in those moments where I reframed all of those really horrible experiences into, I'm not a bad mom. And just because I'm going to be a divorced mom doesn't mean that they need to be broken. And because I'm divorced doesn't mean that I have to have a hateful relationship with my ex-husband. And because I have this medical condition doesn't mean I have to think that I'm broken. And just because I don't have this corporate executive job anymore doesn't mean I need to be poor. In fact, I could take all those things and use this as motivation, and I could create a life better than anything I've ever imagined. And I literally did that. In 2 years, my kids are settled, get along with my ex. I built a 7-figure business. I found a cure for muscular dystrophy in the Amazon and through gene therapy, so I'm doing both angles at once. And I remembered in those moments that that's what I'm here for. I'm here to remind other people who are sitting in that terrible seat that I was, where literally everything that could go wrong was, and remind them that it doesn't have to be that way. If you sit and spend time with entrepreneurs, all of them have lost it all at least once. They really have. They have all had mostly medical problems. A lot of them have had relationship traumas. Some of them had them all happen at the same time. And they just had more relentless drive to believe that life could be better. So I think that in those moments, you can feel your way into something better, and you just have to be patient with the results and confident that if other people can do it, why not you? So that would be my advice for those tough times.
Yeah. Hard to follow that. So with the how do you know when you know in regards to with motivation, I always knew I wanted to be a doctor, help people out, be part of the when they're in their difficult times, and I never wanted to own my own business or run it. It wasn't a initial plan. Went through medical school, got a job in an awesome facility, and was beyond frustrated working in these 7 to 8 minute time slots for every 10 minutes of face-to-face care, having 20 minutes of paperwork, being a glorified secretary, putting in 80 to 100 hours a week, and just basically developing all these unhealthy habits between eating like crap, really not putting my health well, ignoring my family, and just being just down in the dumps. And just trying to think of what else can be there. And seeing that there was an opportunity for putting the focus back on patients, being able to, that's what I enjoyed doing, that's what I wanted to do, and just taking a step back and figuring out a new business opportunity, new medical opportunity to do this, to be able to spend an hour, 2 hours with patients, kind of re-change how healthcare deliveries can be happen. Still putting in 80 to 100 hours a week with starting a business, but it seems right. I'm able to put in the time for self-care. When you're in the weeds and you're running into hurdles, if you're still pursuing the goal, that's, I think, how you know you're in the right direction.
Thank you. We'll get one more question here, and then we'll open it up to some audience questions. But almost every one of you here talked about how important other people were, whether customers or family or people that you're able to lean on. And sometimes there's this image of some motivated person running up a mountain alone, and in reality, that's never actually the case. And even on the theoretical side, like self-determination theory is a huge piece of this, and how you relate to other people is very important. So how can you each touch on maybe how other people have played an important role for you, and then also how you help enroll other people in your motivation in helping you to build that vision? How do you motivate others to help you achieve that goal?
A couple things. First of all, I think I just got to address the elephant in the room with all these healthy people out here. So at ViceCream, we do at concerts sell T-shirts, and we sell, you buy medium, and then you get a large before and after you eat the pint. So hearing about a healthy lifestyle, he won't touch my product. I was a 4-minute miler, health and wellness my whole life. We're not telling people to, I'm hearing all these things about self-care. For me, eating a pint is a self-care. So we are not that far off from health and wellness. We're not telling people to not be healthy. Moving on. So, your question was one I was actually thinking about. And has anyone, I hope everyone's seen the movie Free Solo. Have you seen it? Okay. So that's your assignment from me, is to see Free Solo by Friday. So it won an Academy Award. It's the story of a guy named Alex, free climbing El Capitan in Yosemite. I've never seen anything filmed like it in my life, and I'm a big indie film fan. At the same time, if you're in the fitness business. But one of the things I took from the movie was I didn't expect it to be a love story, whether he loves the mountain or the woman he's with. And back to the woman he's with part of it, and there's a point to all this, is that I was like, what an incredible woman. Like, this guy lives in a van. All he is in love with is the mountain. She's climbing. You see her get into his lifestyle. She supports him. Most people who do this die. And I'm like, what an incredible spouse. It's almost... Yeah. I didn't want to share too much. Yeah, they buy a house. Yeah. But he's just... Yeah. So... Yeah. So... And the part where he falls and dies at the end. So I was sitting there and I'm going through some relationship challenges right now, and it is I do find people that have an amazing supportive spouse that really male or female, that really help them get through things and say, like, we're in this together. I know what I signed up for, or maybe I didn't know what I signed up for. Girlfriend, 16 brothers that are all 6'7". Whatever you have that's supportive is key. Another thing is, I didn't start this business with a partner. I'm not really kind of a partner guy, but there's times that I wish I did have somebody, or at least kind of a top direct report that I could bounce things off of. I do think it's really important. There's some great business networks. We were talking about that before. Vistage, EO, there's a bunch of different networks. I know that my friends are like completely tired of hearing me talk about all the stress going on and so forth. I think my number, they all just like press pass on the iPhone now when I call. So they've been incredible, amazing people, but they've heard about the challenges in the last couple months. So I think it's really important who you surround yourself with. I will tell you that my motivation and what keeps me centered is I have a 4-year-old daughter. And her name's Miles, not just because I'm a runner, but there's a few. It's because of the miles that we've been through, and because it rhymes with smiles. And it's amazing to come home. I never thought I'd love being a dad this much, and it's amazing to come home from a really tough day and just have her hug you, love you unconditionally, want to watch Peppa Pig, like anything in the world, everything doesn't matter for those 3 hours. And I've never been more present in my life than I am with my daughter, which I thought was going to be hard. Like, oh my God, that Walmart order didn't ship while I'm on the soccer field. Yes, but when I'm with her, I'm totally locked in and present, and everything else goes away. So she keeps me grounded. She has a T-shirt that says Vice Baby, and another one, she's the vice president of sales, and she's really good at demos. Yeah, that keeps me grounded. But people around you, really important. I don't have the answer for it, but it's really, really important.
I agree. My family is definitely my biggest support system. So now I'm one of 7 siblings, and my mom and dad now work with me, and my 2 sisters and my brother work with me now. So yeah, so they're full-time, and it's really exciting. So it's 100% a family business. Sometimes it's not so great because I'm working with my dad every single day, and me and my brother do he runs my entire warehouse. So it's a challenge, but the best thing in the world is what I'm learning now, and I've kind of read about so many other companies and the reasons why companies aren't successful, and it's because you can't always trust people, and you can get screwed over very often when you're starting a company, and things can get taken from you. But when it's your family, my family, I'm fortunate enough to just trust them with everything, and I know that they want the best for me. So I feel like that's kind of I'm just really, really lucky. So surrounding myself around my family, and then just close friends who live a healthy lifestyle, who are supportive, and yeah, it's all about the people who you surround yourself with that help you get to the goal. Was that the question? Am I on the right track? Yeah. All right. I'm like, am I answering your question? But yeah, no, supportive, definitely my family. So.
Yeah. What was the original question?
It's like crazy. When it'd be like,
what was the original question, Will? Awesome. Yeah, so a lot of what you guys said, like just surrounding yourself with good people, and sometimes it's like, how do you find those people? Because I've been around people that I think are good people, and then they're not. So it's hard to weed those people out, but for the most part, we're pretty good about it. We have a really tight group that we actually travel with, hang out with, shoot ideas off of each other, and there's not too many people that do come into our group. Just because we all support each other, we all understand what we're trying to achieve. Everyone's vision's different, but we're all there for each other through the up and downs. So definitely putting just positive people around you, people who are going to be there for you. I don't know if anyone saw the Avicii documentary of insane how sad it was, but you could see the people he put around him weren't there to support him. you know, and it's unfortunate because, you know, he's no longer here with us, and he was probably the most influential musician and artist in the world. And just watching that was sad because I know the great people that we put around each other, and it's sad not to see someone who's that successful, that talented, not here with us anymore because of the people he put around him. His eating habits were unfortunately terrible. You know, it was a lot of Pepsi, Coke, burgers, the way they were traveling, the way they were partying. So we try to, like, if that's the direction that one of us are going, like, we're here to support each other, to kick each other back on the railroad track, and to make sure we're going down that right path. The way we kind of say it's called GVO, good vibes only. So, you know, if you're having a bad day, we're like, hey, GVO, you know, GVO. So it kind of kicks us and, like, makes us laugh and keeps us down that right track. But yeah, that's the best thing to do but it's challenging. You know, we try to just align each other and put good people around us so we stay aligned. Good vibes only.
I agree with the good vibes only. When I was going through my dark time, I spent every bit of money on making my life easier. And I was always blessed to I don't have siblings, so I didn't roll deep, but I have friends who are like sisters. Yeah. So it's the same thing. I think women friends can be the most, like, tireless soldiers. Like, they are a force. Like, you don't want to, the mommy military is real. So I surrounded myself with those friends, but again, I needed to avoid burnout. So I outsourced. I mean, I looked for every edge and every way to take a shortcut. I got business coaches, life coaches, relationship coaches, divorce coaches. I mean, you name it. I spent a fucking fortune on coaches. But I would take them to the point where they got me the most edge, and then I would break up with them and find someone who could take me to the next level. So I treated it like I was a professional athlete, but a professional athlete of my life. And I think that makes a huge difference because nobody great does it alone. I mean, that does not happen. Like you said, you have to be surrounded by a deep bench and a strong team. So I think that was what I did for myself. And then when it came to building my business, I had this vision when I was burnt out working at the ad agency of what would it be like if I could work with clients that I loved, whose businesses I actually believed in, with the people in the room that I actually liked. I was like, now that would be a great job. I would really love my job again if I could get rid of the people who were really tough and the clients that were really not making progress. So that's what I did. I started plucking people from my previous world, and I was convincing them to quit their job and come work with me. So I built this dream team of the people that I loved most and got them out of their dead-end situations and their jobs that they hated. And because of that, it was really, truly good vibes only, because we were all so excited and blessed to be living the life that we wanted. And I think you just keep reaching and pushing to the next level. Now I'm thinking about, I have my first person on my team who's pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I always wanted to be able to offer a 6-month maternity leave, but how the hell could I do that? I literally can't. But now that's my goal. She and I are working out, like, a way that it can somehow happen. But now I'm like, okay, I need to have a bigger business where I could actually give people a 6-month maternity leave paid, because that is the only humane thing to do. So I think you just keep raising the bar and collecting these lovely people along the way, and then making sure that the atmosphere makes them want to stay. And I think they stay for a couple of reasons. They stay because they're learning. They stay because they're growing. And they stay because they're actually contributing. So you want to make sure the people on your team have a voice at the table. So that's it. That's why I like to call people on my team. I never say this person works for me, which feels strange.
In regards to agree with surrounding people to kind of help out, whether it be for support or as a solo practitioner, though by myself, there's a huge, found hundreds of other doctors that are working by themselves, and there have been great mentors. And as new doctors come up, sharing my story of what works, what doesn't, and sort of paying it forward. Outside of the medical field, having not really close with my family, but have had lucky opportunity of meeting some amazing people in Boston, close friends that have shared their entrepreneur experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. And as long as that you have that good social support, you can continue that good vibes only and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much, everybody. Does anyone in the audience have any questions?
But you've all given me a different outlook tonight, and it's been amazing. This has been extraordinary. But I wonder, because you all have your own companies, and it sounds like you've all been at least a couple years or 2 years, and maybe fairly even more newer. Has your mission statement changed from what you really were setting out to do? And I think you all talked about your why, but has it changed, or is it evolving? Is my question to you all. But thank you so much.
No, you can take it.
No, I don't think. So mission as far as individual or as far as the company? Yeah. Honestly, the first thing that comes to mind, I don't even know what I mean by it, but our mission hasn't changed, but like the execution of the mission's changed. So it's about the consumer again. We'll find out that what was our vision may not be the most compelling, or something's compelling or relevant that we didn't expect it. So we need to pivot. We need to move a couple degrees to the right or the left. And some of that's done by market trends. Hey, wait, people are picking up low-fat Halo Top ice cream. Maybe we need to look at a low-fat option. Scratch, Halo Top's crashing. Maybe we need to go back to where we are. So I think the mission always stays, the purpose always stays the same. The goals may change. Gordie talked about goals earlier. And you have to be flexible, not chasing after the shiny new thing. I'm intense focus on not doing new things. People want us to do a food truck when we started. I was like, distraction. Complete distraction from what our mission, our goal is, which is to put a pint in every grocery store and every convenience store in America. Food truck, distraction. So, but food truck's a distraction. Food truck, sorry. Food truck. So, so I think that you have to be able to pivot, but stay within your lane, and you can't just stay within your lane if it's not the right lane. So you end up, pivoting a little bit and doing better execution against it, but you don't leave, especially where we are, less than 3 years in, you can't really leave. Why you can, but you started it for a reason. You're passionate about it for a reason, and you expect to, and it's relevant for a reason. You just deviate a little bit.
I agree 100%. Everything he just said is exactly what I was about to say, so that's crazy. Because, we're a consumer-based company. I'm an e-commerce company. I sell athleisure, but there's tons of competitors out there, so I always have to, I'm just a pair of leggings to some people. Obviously, I feel I love my leggings the best, but it's just a pair of leggings. So you have to always stay on the cutting edge of trends, and you have to see what other people are doing. And like he said, you have to be flexible. Yes, my mission is for every woman to feel confident and beautiful in their own skin, and to feel included in the BootyByBrabants brand, and to be a very community-based fit athleisure brand. But I'm always looking for trends and ideas so that I can stay on top, because I never want to plateau or get stale and have the same pair of leggings on the shelf for 5 years. My company just celebrated 4 years, December 5th. So every year I'm coming out with 30 to 70 new styles. Right now I have 132 SKUs, and by Christmas I'll have 230 different products. So I'm constantly thinking, like last year everyone said I want pockets in the leggings. So next week I'm launching all leggings with pockets, so you can fit like your iPhone in them. So I take the ideas from the customer and really apply it to my company, my brand, so that I'm not, because it's not about what I want, it's about what the customer wants. So the mission stays the same, the message stays the same, but the product and the branding and the marketing, I think, should constantly be changing and evolving.
I'm good, you guys killed it. More questions? Name, young lady.
First, I'd echo what Kim said. This has been a great night. So, if you could point to one practice, I guess, in your daily method of operation that keeps you focused and motivated, organized, just every Monday when you wake up, and maybe you don't really stop working through the weekend, but what would you give someone advice, you know, to keep going for that goal no matter what's happened?
So, being fairly new with the business, I have a 90-day goal planner that I keep doing every 90 days. And every Sunday nights, I spend 20 minutes to write out my weekly goals, the tasks for the week. At the beginning of the day, before I start seeing patients, I just look at what are my goals or tasks, what are my to-dos for today, and just constantly knocking it out 1 week at a time, slowly reaching towards that 90-day goals, and then that 1 year goal, 3 year goals. So just trying to really break it down into a keep it as routine as possible.
Did any of you ever have that like story in your head that was you weren't disciplined? I used to say that all the time. My friends used to kill me because they're like, you're such a type A person and you say that you're not disciplined. But I was that person who every year on New Year's Eve had like 50 goals, like literally. It was like, I'm going to do 1,000 things. And of course, I never achieved them. And what I came up with during this whole process was it isn't about you can have your 10 or 50 big goals, your 10-year plan, what you want to achieve. But in every moment of your life, you have to know what is the single most important thing that's either going to get you ahead the furthest or the fastest or give you the most emotional gain. So during that time when like all aspects of my life were falling apart, I would like to say it was Sundays, but I'm totally not that disciplined. I like to keep it more loose, but I would change the focus. So the first step was like, I've got to get this divorce done. I've got to get that moving. And then it was like, I've got to solidify my kids. And then it's like, okay, now I really need to make some serious money. And now I've really got to go back to focusing on my health. So at any point in my life, I have the number one thing that I'm trying to achieve that I know if I check off by the end of the year, I'm going to feel great about myself. And then on a weekly and monthly basis, I'm reevaluating kind of the strategies to get me to that end goal and kind of balancing what needs to happen. But I think that that's why most people kind of lose hope. It's because you're trying to do too many things. And businesses that focus, that's probably why you guys have done so well in all of your businesses, is because you have very singular focuses on what you need to achieve. I cannot tell you how many Fortune 500 boardrooms I've sat in. I mean, companies that make $500 billion. And I ask them about their corporate objectives, and they're like, we're going to be the best blank in the industry. And I'm like, well, what the hell does that mean? I mean, it means nothing. That'd be like me telling you my goal is to be awesome. So if I tell you my goal is to be awesome, there is no way to measure that. If I tell you my goal is to run a sub-5 mile, to have 4% body fat, and to have a 9-pack, like, you might be like, tough, it's going to be hard for you, but you at least know what I'm shooting for. And everything that I would do would make sense against a tangible goal like that. So when you are setting these kind of big objectives, it does have to be really real and raw, because the really fluffy things like I'm going to be a better ice cream company, I'm going to be a better bank, I'm going to have more customers means nothing. You cannot operationalize a sales force, your marketing team, your COO, your CTO around something that's not tangible. So that would be important too.
Yeah. You nailed it.
Questions? I nailed it. Okay.
You talked a little bit about, you asked a few things in that question, but as far as like motivation on a Monday, like the first thing I like to do to get myself going is I like to step out and see like sunlight or, get some fresh air. And I like to move. I need movement in the morning, and that really focuses my whole week and kind of locks me in. So I try as much as I can on like a Monday morning, Tuesday, every single day to do something, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's an hour. Just any type of movement, any type of fresh air really changes your mindset, and then helps you stay focused on, like you said, don't try to have 50,000 goals. Take 2 or 3 goals and then break it down from like 3 months, a month to a week, and focus on reaching that goal. Because put everything else in the parking lot that's not that important for now. If you can pull them out as you go to reach your big 3 goals, great. But if you can't, no worries, because your 3 goals are what you're focused on. And if that's what you want to accomplish in those 3 months or that week, that's kind of how we align ourselves. Otherwise, people get off track. There's no alignment. No one knows who's reporting to who, or which direction they're going. So we try to keep it as simple as possible to help us reach our goals. But as far as motivation, like in the morning, like that's how I start personally. I try to keep our team doing that because I find there's just so much good energy starting on a Monday. I want a Monday to be like a Saturday, crushing it from day one, all the way through Sunday. Anyone else or next question?
I'm good. I'm good, I think.
Oh, you're good? All right. My objective was to have 9-pack abs, and once I achieved it, I had to look for another objective. I thought a lot about your question over the years. One question I asked successful entrepreneurs all the time was, how do you structure your day? Because I wanted to sort of mimic their day or find what the ingredient was. It was the one question I asked people all the time. And the only thing consistent was exercise in the morning, but really I was looking for something, like really get up at 6 a.m., do this, do that, have a 5-minute standing meeting that we tried, a lot of companies were doing, but there really wasn't anything. I desperately wanted the answer, and there really wasn't one. I ride my Peloton bike, he doesn't like the bike. I ride my Peloton bike in the morning. I meditate through Calm, and I've been doing that religiously. I put all these strings together. By the way, another one of my rants and tangents. One thing I think there's an idea here. One of these things lately that's very interesting is Peloton rewards you. If you know the Peloton bike, they reward you for like stringing days together, and like 25 or 30 days you get a medal for this. Calm, if you do it 5 days in a row, you string something and give you an award. Everything's like stringing things together. I'm so scared not to do something right now. I'm gonna be like depressed that I do all this stuff because I missed a day and all my awards go away. So I feel this like stress right now. Sorry, but all these things are supposed to keep me relaxed. I feel stress. I'm like, oh no, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep my 315 days going. But I don't have the answer. That's the long answer. I don't have the answer. The only thing, sorry, I tell you one of my weird deep moods tonight, which is often. The one thing that I have thought about lately is getting really. We've talked around it, but getting really comfortable in your own skin and being very comfortable, especially if you run the company, in what's going to make you show up at work. I mean, you guys live your brand, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what's going to show up at work in your best state of mind? And you control that. And I'm not going to sound like Tony Robbins. He talks about date of state and things like that. But you really do control that. So for me, I'm not a morning person. And I feel like I need to be in at 9 because that's what bosses do. But I'm happier when I show up at 10. And I work 10 to 10, and I'm happier that way. And if I show up at 9, I'm grumpy. People that people schedule meetings with me at 8 a.m. and I'm like, and they schedule an 8 a.m. Monday meeting, and they're like, how come you said no? I was like, I said no before I got on the phone, So you schedule an 8 a.m. Monday meeting, of course I'm going to say no. So it's just like I have to get comfortable. Show up at 10. That's when I work best. Work out in the morning, meditate in the morning, come in a happy mood. You control that, or I control that. Why should I show up at 8:30? Because the rest of America does it. I'm grumpy all day. So I think that's something that, one controls that part and has to be comfortable in your own skin. Not perfect, but getting at that. So the only thing I'll say is you guys are all amazing. This has been great for me. I wasn't going to come to this tonight. It was raining. I wasn't motivated. I was like, oh man, I was like driving around circles in Boston. You're incredible the way you impact patients. You're doing better work than anybody here. I want to talk to you about your story. It's absolutely incredible. You live the brand. I mean, I haven't met you personally before, but from Shark Tank to everything you hear and all the media, I mean, you're unbelievable, positive. You're great to sit next to her because I can just look at a woman's legs in the Me Too generation and not get in trouble. So, no, you're unbelievable. You're I didn't know a lot about you today, and every time I peel back another layer, I'm like, wow, she's incredible. So, I didn't mean that literally, the layers. I'll stop talking.
Well, I think you just summed that up better than I ever could. Does anybody have any questions, or I think we're done? More? Sure.
If you can sum up your relationship with motivation in one word, what would that be? And you can answer the second part of the question if you want to, but you don't have to. What does that say about you? Your relationship with motivation in one word.
Evolving. So it's a new entrepreneur, I'm still learning, and what I know the mission, I know what the why. In regards to the day-to-day of what extra hurdles are going to come up, what challenges, I still don't know. And in regards to what's going to lead me to overcome the next hurdle, the next challenge, my why is there, but like how is that going to continue to affect me? That's evolving.
Tough question. My relationship to motivation is positive. I am really impatient by nature, and I do not like things to get boring, stale, or slow. So for me, that is kind of innate motivation to always be looking for something to be better, more exciting, more fun-filled, more interesting, more challenging. And I think that's what keeps me going.
I would have to say my relationship to motivation is caring. I think, I'm motivated to help, and I know Kelly does a great job, especially with your charity stuff you do for kids, and it's unbelievable the work she does. But I want to be able to, with our new companies, we have foundations already built in before we're even making any money, and I want to be able to give back, to whatever charities, that our group is inspired to give to. Usually kids, that's the biggest thing, but for the most part, that's what I like doing, and connecting people through other people.
My one word I would say was passion. I'm so passionate about what I do, and that's my motivation. When I come into every single class I teach, every single event that I do, every pair of leggings that I design, I'm so passionate about it, and that's probably, I don't know, that's my thing. It's just being super passionate and allowing that passion to just constantly motivate me to the next goal.
I've never given a one-word answer to anything, but the first thing that came to mind is what? What? I never think of, it's not even comprehensible that you don't have motivation. I mean, it's just, I've stopped thinking about motivation. Now I have a complex. I'm going to leave and be like, am I motivated? So it's just, the only thing that you can hire for is passion, but people will never have as much passion as anyone who work for us as anyone sitting up here. So that's the hard thing, is people will not be able to match my passion in the office. They don't the 3 a.m. emails, the 2 a.m. emails, culture we haven't talked about today, but I did 90 nights on the road the last 2 years. Retailer needs to see me, bang, go to Logan, go. I mean, if you actually stop and think about it, I think that would be bad. So at least for me, I'm like, Safeway's like, listen, we want to see you tomorrow. Walmart, I was at Walmart last week. They're like, Walmart's going to get an opportunity. Go. You just go. You got, you hustle, as Karen said earlier. So it's innate. You don't think about it. And as Kelly said, I don't know if it can be taught. I really don't know. I think you're born with it and you're wired. The question of why, that's probably for the therapist. But you're born with it. So, yeah.
Thanks. For me, I'll throw in visceral was the first thought that came to mind, and we talked about this a lot, but kind of like remembering you're gonna die, and that's incredibly motivating. And so there's this Stoic philosophy of memento mori, meditate on your death, and it sounds really negative, but it's actually really positive. Of remember you're gonna die. What are you gonna do with that information? And you could go today, you could go 60 years from now. And in terms of what I think that says about me is, looking for, okay, this is something, it seems negative, but how do you actually make that incredibly positive? And then transform that and make lots of good stuff out of it. So. Thank you everybody. We have more snacks, RX bars, and Waku Wellness Tea. There's also drinks, I think, available. Protein cookies.